Amandla, Matla, Amandla, Amandla, Mata, Yaruna, Amandla, Emazweni, 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 ANC, ANC, Freedom Chat, Freedom Chat, Bakalanga, Emazweni, Bakalanga, Emazweni, Freedom Chat, ANC, 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 Amandla. Now, comrades, we are burying a soldier of Mkondo wesizwe. Sabashiya bazale kaya, savuma sangena amanyamazwe, lapho singasikona baba noma sayendele inkululeko. Sabashiya bazale kaya, savuma yena amanyamazwe ungazikona asibandele inkululeko. Amandla. You know, the late Comrade Kenneth Ndlovu will narrate our history and struggle through songs. So we can bury Comrade Pule through songs, because these songs, they remind us of the past and they want us to build a better future. Unzima lomthwalo ufuna simanyane, unzima lomthwalo ufuna simanyane. Amandla. Comrades, recognize lelapa la Mlambo, lela Mfuke, Mfumahadi, bana, the relatives, orangwane bo malume, ba amanale na kamati. He recognized the leadership of the National Executive Committee, Comrade Dakota, and any leader of the NEC who might be here. He recognized the Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Solima Paila, from the South African Communist Party. He recognized the provincial leadership of Gauteng, led presently by Comrade Deputy Chair, Comrade Panyaza Lusufi, the Deputy Chair, the Treasurer, and other PEC members, Comrade Parks and Comrade Leboga. He recognized all the comrades of the leadership of Gauteng, Johannesburg region, the Deputy Chair, the Secretary, Comrade Dada, and other REC members. He recognized all comrades who are here, the family. Make you recognize who Comrade Pule felt these comrades were the most closest to me when he talked about you, Comrade Bafana, and your wife all the time. Recognize all the comrades who worked with Comrade Pule, even as former councillors. I remember one day I said, hey, Comrade Pule, Comrade Cosas, Comrade Tegere. You want to remove Amos Mason? They are going to disband you tomorrow. And after 2 days, they were disbanded. And I said, I reminded you, comrades. And we used to talk about those things. But because Comrade Pule was disciplined, he remained disciplined, and he died as a disciplined member of the African National Congress. A communist indeed. So, comrades, I have a long speech, but I think it is not necessary to discuss the speech or even to narrate and talk and read the speech because of time. I've listened to Comrade Brian Flogwa, and I appreciated the fact that you were talking the real ANC. When Oliver Tambo said, we must establish rudimentary organs of people's power. That's why Soweto Youth Congress and other congresses became. That's how Cosas was formed in 1985, formally established in Durban. And we were the organizers of Cosas. And that's why we are proud and that's how we don't blame those who came after us when they were not yet born, when we were struggling. And that's why I respect veterans and real veterans. And real veterans, you might be 40 years uninterrupted in struggling and 60 years old. But you will earn that respect if you are a veteran who unites rather than divide the African National Congress. You don't become a veteran and you demand respect because you are in exile for 50 years. Because if you are in exile for 50 years, we'll remind you that the people who freed and make sure that those who are in exile must come back were the masses of our people in the country. And Umkhondo Wesizwe was there when we formed COSATU. Umkhondo Wesizwe was giving workers on the ground political education. It was not just a simple COSATU where you elect leadership because you can actually speak and pronounce and make noise and chant slogans. During those days, we're identifying leadership just like communists were identified, not elected during those years of struggle. You're not going to become a communist without being nurtured and groomed and groomed and groomed and baked and ultimately become a communist. I always refer to myself as a communist without a membership card. So Comrade Pule was a very disciplined comrade. He was a real mass mobilizer. These comrades could go anywhere. He once worked in Northwest, and when you talk to Comrade Pule, he knows and understands every branch in Northwest. When you talk to Comrade Pule, he knows and understands, even without being in the REC or PEC, he can tell you about branch 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. This was a good leader. Begimubisa Brapule. Kimufetaka 3 years. Begimubisa Brapule because you earn respect, you don't demand it. Orere ubise moetapele. Wabona matsatsing a o kgethilwe fela re re moetapele. Because o kgethilwe. It does not mean, comrades, if you are a member of the National Executive Committee, you are the most advanced cadre during this era and epoch of struggle. Yes, we respect the highest decision-making body within the African National Congress as a unitary structure. We respect it as the National Executive Committee. But it does not mean if you are elected into the National Executive Committee, you are the most revolutionary. You understand the ANC better than the others. There are many comrades who came into the ANC who were leaders today, but they have contributed more than us, and they understand the theory of the revolution far better. They have read the ABCs. You know, if you have not read the ABCs, what is socialism? What is capitalism? What is the trade union? I can tell you, we can discuss the whole night. If you have never listened to Radio Freedom, if you have never discussed during the battle of ideas, during the UDF mass mobilization, and I can't blame you if you are not there, you are not born. I can't blame you if you are a leader today because the ANC is unbent. But leaders must be patient. Be patient. It doesn't mean if we don't fight, you know we can fight. You know I can fight. It's just that I respect the African National Congress and I respect some leaders of the African National Congress. You know, if we want to show that we have the strength on the ground, we can do it. But we have been taught and nurtured quite differently. We are a breed of discipline. We are not afraid, we talk our minds. So, the ANC has not lost elections. We have lost elections. But no, we have not lost. We are still the majority party. If you lose power, it means you have lost power. If you are not in charge of government, it means you are not in charge, you have lost power. Because you must accept, comrades, because it will make you to understand and become humble. You know, if you wanted to have Johannesburg Metro and Ekurhuleni, you should allow the regional executive, you should allow the councillors of the ANC to discuss with their counterparts in the opposition parties. There is nothing wrong to discuss with EFF because we share the same constituency, the black constituency, the Africans, the most oppressed and exploited even today post-democracy. If we said REC Johannesburg, discuss with EFF and other parties, I can tell you, and I can tell you we can take Johannesburg tomorrow. Just a matter of time. It depends how you engage people. If you are honest, if you are simple, a simple leader, if you are humble, people will respect you. If you are arrogant and you think you don't care about the ANC, you can deal with comrades. I can tell you, one day comrade can stand up and show you that we can deal with you. If you think you can discuss and say we want so and so as a leader, before the National Executive Committee opens processes of engaging, you are going to elect leaders who just give you money. And if we don't talk about these leaders in Gauteng, you know, in Gauteng here, there are many leaders. If we talk renewal, comrades, let me tell you what I understand with renewal. If we want to renew the ANC, if we are factions, it means factions must forget about factions. Comrades must work as comrades, and comrades must look at merit and quality of leadership. And we must extend our hands. I must extend my hand to the president of the ANC, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa. You must extend your hand to President Jacob Zuma. You must extend your hand to Comrade Mbeki, Khalima and others. You must go to comrades who were there during the years of struggle. In Soweto, in Tshwane, in Ekurhuleni, in the Val, everywhere in South Africa. If you think you have arrived and you don't go and renew, those comrades belong to families. Those families are part of communities. Those communities were, during the years of struggle, they were there. They know them. If you deal with Comrade Pule, you deal with his family, you deal with his comrades, you deal with his friends, you deal with MK comrades and communists who love him. So you have already divided the African National Congress, which is supposed to be strong. So if you want to renew the African National Congress, self-interest, and build this African National Congress. It's our movement. It's not the ANC of leaders. This ANC is not the ANC of leaders. You know, some of the leaders, comrades, we went and picked them up when they were nowhere in this movement. Nowhere in this movement. And we don't regret, because we are fighting. Some of the leaders, you put them in the National Executive Committee because we are factions. And we must learn a lesson. We must elect leaders we know, and we must elect principal leaders. What principle? And Comrade Pule was one of those principal leaders. He was firm. He believed in the African National Congress. He believed, and I think one comrade has explained what RET is all about. I don't know this thing. RET forces. No. RET is a policy position of the African National Congress. So if you don't implement radical economic transformation, go to our resolutions over years from 1912, go into our vocabulary of the African National Congress. And if we want to change this country, we must understand the leadership of the ANC. I was telling one comrade, and I said, comrade, but when you are angry, man, when you talk about Karl Niehaus, you are asking, what is this Karl Niehaus? What does he contribute? Who is he? He's not a member of the National Executive Committee. Then I said, comrade, listen, man. Karl Niehaus is one white chap who was privileged, who joined the ANC even before you were born. And he became part of Umkhonto weSizwe, a white person, privileged in South Africa. And we were not in the ANC. And post-apartheid, Karl Niehaus was in Mandela's office. And I said, if you know Karl Niehaus, he was one of the best communicators of the African National Congress, like Bottom's been. And I said, you must remember, Karl Niehaus was also an ambassador in Netherlands. And he has recruited many others, black and African comrades, within the African National Congress. So who are you to talk about him? That is the contribution he has actually brought. Where now you are the leader today of the National Executive Committee. It doesn't work that way. Leadership is about humility. In this province, I know everybody in this province from as early as 1976. In this province of Gauteng. From the Val to Post to Tumaole to Craddock, International Year of the Youth, to Alex. I can tell you about Comrade Mike Beer, Comrade Paul, Comrade, others even left the African National Congress, Comrade Constance. So, when you talk about comrades, you must first check, who is this comrade? Who's Paul Mashati? Who's Karl Niehaus? Who's Panyaza? Who's this one and this one? Because you just emerge from nowhere. The right leaders are leaders who have emerged out of community struggles. And they started there on the ground from the community, and the community identified this young man, this young woman as a leader, and this leader became a leader out of the masses. From mass mobilization to organization. Because we take you from the mass, and once we identify you, once you bring it into an organization, now remove some politics. Once you are in an organization, you do what the organization wants you to do. And then you move from those stages, from masses, activists, comrades, and whatever, until you become a leader. So if you have not been baked and you have jumped processes, you will never have an organization called the African National Congress. So it is time, and I'm happy that at this funeral, people are not using this funeral for their own things, where they hit other comrades and what have you. I listened to Tito Mboweni talking about Khalema. You are not the oracle of truth. I said, yeah, hey, this ANC, we are in trouble. We are in trouble, comrades. We are no more a mass-based organization. I was looking at the reports of the African National Congress in terms of organization. There is no organization. Because that report, and I don't believe it, Comrade Banyaza, it says in Gauteng, out of more than 500 branches, there are only 4 branches in good standing. It has come out this week. And I said, hey, we are in trouble. So if we don't forgive each other, we can forgive the clerk. We can talk so nice about the clerk and Malang and Filju. If you support Zuma, you are something else. If you support Mbeki, you are something else. It's just you believe papers, comrades. In South Africa today, they follow the newspapers. You know, the newspaper says, and I think it's in one of the books, they say, no, Mbeki did not want to appoint me as premier because I was not educated. I said, oh, madam, because I went to Forte, I went to Vets, I was a teacher. What is this nonsense? But people believe that story. Mbeki could not appoint. No, I was supposed to be the first premier in 1994. I went to the leadership and I pleaded that Terali Kota must be premier. And Nelson Mandela said to me, you will regret. Then I said, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. But the papers can say something else. The gangster, they said Sodi gave me 10 million. But I've never met Sodi. I only meet Sodi now when I face this case. 10 million hard cash. It is there in the gangster book. And people believe the stories. So the media can destroy the African National Congress. And we must never just believe what the media says. We must fight corruption, comrades. I wish I get into the box in this case so that I can expose corruption. But when I do so, I'll also be exposing corruption within the African National Congress. I'm sure that's what the African National Congress wants. I so wish that this case continues and I get into the box. I know they even approach people become a witness, they can't find any witness. So, Pule Mlambo, always Hagikatela, Arenale and Comrade Pule Mlambo. Rekadula 2 weeks or no man, no, 12 years or so. You are a responsible father. You are a responsible father. Because comrades always forget about their families. And Comrade Panyaza, when you are there aside, who is there is your family. So your kids, your wife, everybody, your relatives matter. And the ANC also matter. But never abandon and forget your family. So ke leboetse monyatla o no wa sebetsa le Comrade Pule. le bohle ba ne ba sebetsa le yena. You know, mafunga ANC re, comrade, ha sa tsamaile, bana ba ke se sokole. Sometimes ke letsatsi le re qetelang ka lona le, ha o sa tla re bona. But true comrades will remain with this family. True leadership. And I know the leadership of Gauteng has committed to the family to do certain things, because what is important is beyond the funeral. And I think that approach of Gauteng leadership is much appreciated. Ke batla hore ho lona tshepo sola ore se o nkadimile sona ha o re ke se busetse le teng ke sa le ka hore o lokile Modimo a le fe matla, a le kgantshetse sefahlego sa hae, mme a le fe kgotso.